Change your diet, change your life, change the planet.
Hey, it's the last day of the Woodstock Fruit Festival, and I've got a very, very, very special guest here today. He gets 3 berries. Dan, the man, McDonald, the Life Regenerator. He's been blowing up the scene here, and we're going to have a little man-to-man conversation, probably different than any of the other interviews he's going to be doing here, because Dan and I kind of have the same vision of what needs to be done. So rather than me leading up to it, I'm just going to let him say it.
So where we connect, I think, is our open-mindedness, Tim. I feel sometimes that if you limit it through some type of really overly strict plan, then you can scare some people away. They might not feel like they're good enough. But I wanted to keep my vision open, fruits, vegetables, and love for the average person, someone who never even ate a vegetable in their life. You can get on the Life Regenerator plan, and that's just to start now eating those high fiber, high water, easily digestible raw foods with enzymes in them, so that you can begin a process of, it's not really like getting to a specific dietary practice or counting calories or anything like that. But it's more of just improving yourself a little bit more today, trying to commit to really taking care of yourself. So I wanted to keep my vision open to more people. Anybody can get in this door. I mean, I know how hard it was for me in the beginning. It took me a long time to get to a place where I eat really clean and I stay nice and balanced and healthy on basically 100% fruit and vegetable diet. But I mix it up a bit, and I don't have any strict rules. So I want to just keep encouraging people without setting too many limitations, because everyone's different. There's 85-pound anorexic I've been able to help. There's 500-pound people having heart problems, and they're each going to need a little bit different program in order to improve the quality of their life. We're working at the level of not only the food, so we don't want to get stuck there. We want to learn how to open our hearts towards ourselves with all our perceived limitations and self-critical judgments, as well as really working on absorbing knowledge and truth from any sources that we can, so that we can begin to apply that. And then my main purpose is to really inspire people, to be a breath of fresh air, to have people to breathe in the thought and the feeling that they can actually empower themselves to make a difference, whether you're addicted to drugs right now, or whether you're addicted to food and you're 500 pounds, or you are addicted to vomiting because you think that you're fat and you're only 80 pounds, you know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of people out there that have these deluded perceptions of who and what they are, and I'm trying to help people to understand what they really are. So food I use as a practical way to start a foundation for inner change, and so that they can work on the path to self-peace and self-love.
One of the things that I hear all the time in the raw movement is you are what you eat. And I disagree with this. And I just heard you say the same thing that goes through my head every time, because people say, oh, you are what you eat, but it's not just the food. You're so much more than that. And if we identify ourselves with a certain diet, if we identify ourselves with a very strict way of eating a particular type of food, then that's all we become, and that's not enough. It's not enough to be a raw foodist or a raw vegan or whatever the label might be. That's not enough. We are so much more than just what we eat. And you know, I'm running raw, and I'm trying to shake that image, because people think, okay, he's the raw vegan guy and he's the running guy. That's all he is. He's nothing else. And yeah, I've been the raw vegan guy, I've been the running guy, but on that journey, on that path, I've learned so much, and I've grown so much, and I got so much further to go. And I'm not trying to, you know, reach the tiny 1/10 of 1% of the population that is raw. Like, for instance, the Woodstock Fruit Festival, love it, love it, love it, but we're preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
I want to transform the United States. Dan's going to transform the world. You know, we're so much more than what we, it's important, it's essential, because it allows you to access parts of your physical being, your emotional being that maybe have been closed off. But putting the strict limitations and the labels and all the dogma on it just makes it that much more difficult to access that truth. So that's where I'm coming from, and that's why Dan is the man. And here, just roll with it, dude.
Well, I've just had so much fun over the last couple of years, and I really do believe in this. I gave a talk yesterday that everybody really seemed to love, and it was a little bit about the food, but mostly about love and peace yourself, trying to help people to understand what I know that we really are. And it's that light inside of us. The heavier the things are that you consume and the more dense that they are, the more that light gets occluded or blocked. And that's on the level of the food, as well as the emotions, as well as the self-criticism, guilt, and unconscious guilt and whatnot. There's no disease or health condition without unconscious guilt attached to it. So we're trying to get people to feel and see their innocence. So obviously there's a bit more of a bigger underlying, more subtle picture here that we're trying to get across. That's what's helped me. It's not just the diet, although that's a super cool and fun part of my life, and I love a little bit of discipline and a little bit of partying. I mean, I ate like probably 30 durians this week, which is not the most healthful practice still though. But I did do more fitness. I gained 3 or 4 pounds of nice healthy tissue, lifting weights, running. I had a great time, but I think that people should definitely focus on a more well-rounded approach to life. Keep your mind wide open. Don't get stuck in any dietary ruts, and be prepared to be flexible and change. I can eat a little bit more fat than some of these guys and feel just fine and great and better. I think it's the key. I think that healthy fats, healthy, lots of greens. I love juices. So I have a different approach than these guys, but I think they can't deny that my message is close enough, and I do bring a lot of people here, so I'm going to continue to, I mean, they're all my friends too. There's no discrepancies in person. Maybe online you think, oh, his diet percentage is different. But at the end of the day, we all agree that fruits and vegetables is a great way to live, and that's what connects us. And then we hope to share those other deeper principles that you can use to enhance the quality of every aspect of your life, so you can fill your heart with love for yourself and life.
My mind plays with metaphor and analogy. It's just that they pop in there, and I'm listening to you, and I heard you talk about the flexibility and the limitations, and immediately the image of a bone popped into my head. And I know you're giving a class or a talk on bone health coming up. And one of the things that people talk about, in fact, the biggest thing that people talk about with bones is calcium. Everybody's talking about calcium, 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 calcium. That's what equals bone health. But calcium is only half the picture. Calcium is the mineral element of bone that gives it its strength. But there's also protein in bone. And that protein gives the bone its flexibility. If you have just calcium in the bone, it breaks. It's hard, but it's brittle. If you have just protein in the bone and little calcium, it's too flexible and you can't stand upright. So you need both. You need the strength and you need the flexibility.
That's right.
That's what allows us to walk upright. That's what allows us to move through life and be able to hit the basketball court or play tennis or run through the woods, whatever it is. It's the strength combined with flexibility. Too much flexibility bad, too much strength bad.
Right.
And it's just the same thing with diet. Diet is one element. And diet is the calcium, and that's great, but you also need the flexibility, and that comes from somewhere else.
Because you might be in the Midwest and they have no fresh fruits and vegetables, and you are starving, and you need to eat 3 baked potatoes, and you eat them with relish, and you love them knowing that tomorrow they'll come out and you'll be just fine. But I like the metaphors, because my metaphor for that is the palm tree. The palm tree digs its roots in deep, and at the same time it'll flex all the way when the storm is hitting. It'll flex all the way to the ground, and it'll stay there, and when the storm is done, the palm tree bounces back. So you want to be flexible, like, okay, I've got like some steamed vegetables. I'm not going to eat a plate of raw broccoli at a Chinese restaurant, but I'm just going to have them steam it up. I'm going to fill my belly. I'm going to go to sleep, wake up tomorrow, get to the next Whole Foods, and carb up on some fresh food again. So the flexibility, here comes the storm. There's just nothing in the Midwest to eat. And then in the morning you bounce right back and you're back on track again with no guilt, shame, or percentages to weigh down your guilt trip. So be a bounce back person, do the best you can, never judge anyone else, because you don't know how far they've come from where they were, and develop compassion by making your own mistakes. You know, get your butt kicked in this life, and instead of getting jaded, turn it around into compassion for every other single human being on this planet who's going through probably worse crap than you are. You know, so it's all about love and understanding, for sure.
Yeah. Spread the message of health. Spread the message of acceptance. Spread the message of community and love, and exactly what you're talking about. Don't spread the message of this hard line, dogmatic, you must eat fruit in this amount. Spread the message, but don't stand on a pedestal. Don't say you're all wrong and I'm right and you will listen to me. Don't go to war. I know, a lot of people here think this is a war, but you can't. You win the war by love. You win the war by acceptance. You win the war with compassion. You don't win the war by trying to dominate and beat down everybody else.
Yeah. Well, the war just creates more resistance, more counterforce. I just dissolve everything with a heart filled with love, and it just disappears. I don't see the war. I see just pure opportunity for us to continue to grow as a society. And obviously, yeah, the people are invested in our sickness. I mean, if you can't see that, I mean, there's billion-dollar, trillion-dollar sickness industry, a sickness society. And, that's just the dark part of the old man that's dying away now. And so the Homo Spiritus can take over. And we can be living in a state of unity consciousness, understanding that we are all a part of the whole. So it's a really inclusive unity type consciousness where I have no desire to be better than anyone else, just to do my job better than I did yesterday and to become a conduit for truth and for light. And I think that most people want that, because when you become a conduit and you share your gifts, you are filled and you will ask for no other blessing.
So how do we find you online?
Life-regenerator.com is the free YouTube videos, and then I've got some really cool recipe DVDs so that you can get more specific instruction on the creation of these delicious foods, and that's at regenerateyourlife.org.
Awesome, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim.
Man.
It's always a pleasure, my friend.
Yeah, likewise. Absolutely. This guy is all about love. He's all about reaching out. He's basically dedicated his life to helping other people, and I have great respect for that. So check him out. He's got like a video a day you put up, sometimes
Pretty
two
much.
a day.
Yeah.
Endless library of videos you can watch. Dan is prolific. It's amazing. So check him out, and next year, Woodstock Fruit Festival, we'll be back.